Yeah, I'll kind of recap the scrimmage and a little bit as it pertained to today's practice. So first of all, I thought it was a very good first scrimmage for us. It was highly competitive. One thing you always are concerned about going into a first scrimmage is tackling. And I felt like we tackled pretty good for our first scrimmage. I feel like we got people on the ground. Obviously, in the open field, we have some pretty elusive guys that can create some explosive plays. But it wasn't just an enormous amount of missed tackles. So I'm confident about that. Two, to come out of that thing injury-free is always a positive for me. Like, last year we lost a couple of guys for the season in that first scrimmage. So that's always a concern. I think a couple things, critically that I talked to the team about. First is, we're in really good condition, right? Our guys can run, they're in great shape. But there's a difference in being able to run, and there's a difference in being in game shape. Games last 3.5 hours, right? But when you're in the locker room and sideline and back in, and we have to condition ourselves better for that. And what I mean by that is maintaining a level of consistency in our play, maintaining the mental intensity needed in the second half into the fourth quarter, maintaining that focus so that we don't have some of the breakdowns that we didn't have early in the scrimmage. So that's something that we worked on today with the guys, and they really responded well. I told them today I was really proud of them, just the way they responded to how taxing it was going in the afternoon and practicing for a little over 2 hours in the heat. And I thought the last period was really well done by them. Offensively, naturally there's always things you want to clean up coming out of a scrimmage. For us, pre-snap penalties, we need to improve. We were not clean, pre-snap, as you guys know. We like to motion and shift and do different things before that ball snapped, and too many, just false starts, illegal procedure stuff that we can clean up. 3 turnovers Saturday, I think in just about 130 plays, which is too many for the offense. And so understanding the value of the football, but on the flip side, that's a real credit to the defense in creating those turnovers. Okay. An area where I know we can improve defensively is, we're really making it a point to get after the quarterback, and we're seeing the effect of that. But we still have to understand our rush lanes, especially on third down. And so that is definitely an area for us to clean up and try to minimize some of the quarterback scrambles that came into having big plays on Saturday. But just some young guys that kind of stood out to me. Jelani McDonald has continued to impress, has been impressive. Derek Williams, Anthony Hill, Manny Muhammad had a nice day. And a guy that we don't mentioned quite as much in that backfield, Trey Wisner, had a good day, not only at running back, but on special teams. And I thought some guys that, sometimes get overlooked from spring ball, and then we talk about our returning kind of star players and then our new players, our new faces. But we had some guys that have made real strides that I'm proud of. I think Arch has really stepped his game up. He's playing at a high level. I think Justice Finkley is playing good football for us. He's in year 2, right? And he's playing well. I think Jere Bledsoe, which we touched on last week. I think Gunnar Helm is playing very good football for us at tight end. And I think DJ Campbell is doing some nice things up front on the offensive line. So, like I said, it was a good scrimmage Saturday, but as good as that was, I love the way they responded today to a tough practice, and us still finishing the way that we did was impressive.
What defensive players had turnovers?
Manny Muhammad had an interception, returned it for a touchdown. Nice disguise of the coverage. He then forced a fumble on JT Sanders that I think Leona Lafau ended up recovering. And John, I'm drawing a blank on the third one off the top of my head. Hold on. It'll come to me. Oh, Jared Thompson in a 2-minute drill. Made a nice play on the sidelines, toe tapped, kept his feet in bounds, and got an interception. So I apologize. Those are the 3 guys.
Who were some of the quarterbacks making plays with their feet? You're talking about the passing line.
Yeah. No, Arch made a couple plays with his legs. Had a third down scramble early in the scrimmage to an extended drive on a 3rd and long, and then on another 3rd and long, had a long touchdown run right down the middle where, like we're talking to the defense, we want to play more man coverage. We want to affect the quarterback, right? But when you do that and the defenders all have their backs turned guarding their man, and you get out of your rush lanes, an athletic guy like Arch can go split it. And he showed, I think he hit 20 miles an hour, which was pretty impressive. He didn't even know he could go 20 miles an hour. So it was a nice play by him.
So you talk about Manny. How's that battle at field corner shaking out? And do you have anybody pushing Ryan at all on that balance?
Yeah, it's been good. The secondary is playing well. And I think one thing, like historically, that we've done on the offensive line with Coach Flood, right? How we're trying to make sure we find the best five that can play. I think we're kind of doing that in the secondary. What's the best combination of those five? But we also know we're going to play at 2:30 in 2.5 weeks. And we're probably going to need 10 guys, right? We're going to have to roll plenty of guys. So a lot of guys are playing right now. I think Terrence Brooks has had a good camp. I think Manny, these last couple of practices has started to play. I thought Gavin looked pretty good today out there. The good thing about like a Terrence Brooks, he can play field or boundary. Manny can play field or boundary. So it creates some rotation, and it's good for Ryan. Warren Roberson has done some things for us that has been very encouraging. And then for us at our nickel spot, we're 4 deep right now. And especially now with what Jelani McDonald's looking like. And then, Jalen Gilbo I'm just pleasantly surprised of how he's responded from his injury. So all of a sudden you're looking at Jade, you're looking at Gilbo, you're looking at Austin Jordan and Jelani McDonald, all of which they can in a mix, whether it's at corner and or safety. So we've got a lot of depth there right now, which is good for us, and they're getting plenty of reps, and so hopefully we can reap the benefits of that as the season goes on.
Coach, one more injury one, Xavier. I know he's been out for illness. Has he been back yet?
Yeah, he was limited Saturday, and then he was full go today, so he's back rolling.
What's the benefit of practicing at all times of the day? I mean, I know morning, night, today, in the middle of the day. What's the benefit of that?
Well, my thing is, I don't get to pick our game times, unfortunately, or we'd be kicking off at about 8:30 a.m. because that's when we go in the season. But because of that, I really feel like I have to expose our guys to the different times and the different body clock times for them. So we've been going it a couple times. We're going to go tomorrow night about 7:30. We've gone a few times here at 2:30 in the middle of the day. We've scrimmaged, at about by the time the scrimmage gets kicked off, just before 11 a.m., which we know 11 a.m. games come around. So I'm trying to expose them to all that, knowing starting on Monday when school starts, we're going to be in the morning, and that's what we got. And I don't really get to adjust that. So I'm trying to take these weeks now without school of adjusting some of our practice times to, one, expose them to different times, but two, how do I maximize their rest between practices, right? I would never practice in the afternoon or in the evening and then come back and practice them in the morning, right? So I'm always trying to find, a span where I can get their recovery done. And I think it's been helpful. Our guys have really bought into recovery and what that looks like from a hydration standpoint, from what they're eating to how they're sleeping. And this has been our best year of minimizing some of the soft tissue issues that we've kind of had in the past.
I looked at the tape. How did Quinn and Malik look when you reviewed it?
Yeah, I thought Quinn played really well. He had a really good day. It's unfortunate the interception in 2 minutes was not on him, but that's rapport with his receivers that we got to keep working on. But I thought he was really efficient. There was a moment there where I thought the defense had a really good period. We had a 3rd down, 4th down competition. The defense had a good period. But I thought Quinn really rebounded in the backed up segment, the goal line segment, and in our red area period. So that was good. Malik, he does so many cool things that flash. We're trying to minimize some of the like kind of the 1 or 2 plays of practice where there's an error, and that's the consistency factor of just staying consistent. The big plays are going to be there for him because he is so physically gifted. He's got great arm talent. But how do we minimize the not great plays, right? And understand the value of the football. So he's made a lot of really good progress. I think that room is performing well for us right now.
Coach, what impression, when we were talking about the conditioning, was there a noticeable drop in play during the second half of the scrimmage?
It wasn't so much the play. I try to simulate, when we scrimmage, I try to simulate what would be a first half. And then we actually take a halftime, and we don't go all the way to the locker room. We go to the tunnel, and we'll take about 8 minutes. And then we come back out, and we start with our special teams, and then we go again. And I just didn't quite feel our energy right when we kind of came out for what would have been the third quarter, which we have to get trained to do. And then what I didn't like was not that it was about the physical conditioning of what we were about. There were too many mental lapses late where same calls, just like there were earlier in the game, but that mental fatigue of it lasts longer, staying focused, keeping your mental intensity to remain consistent. And so that's what I was stressing upon the guys. And so that's why we kind of structured practice the way we did today. And like I said, I thought today was much better. So that's as much as is on me as it is on them as a coach of putting them in those situations to get them comfortable handling it.
Coach, with DJ Campbell, what's the next step in his development arc from spring to summer to now, and also at 340 pounds? Is that kind of where y'all want him?
Yeah, it's hovering around. I naturally I think if we get him in the high 330s, he'll be fine. He's right just above that. He's a big, powerful man. I think two things for DJ when he's going to be at his best. One is trust in his own ability. He's a big physical man. He's very athletic. And when he knows and really cuts it loose down after down after down, he's a problem because he can move people. Second, he's not as experienced as the two guys he's playing next to. Jake Majors, 3-year starter. Christian Jones, 3-year starter, right? They have a lot of experience trusting those guys. If they're calling something, they want to block something a certain way, just trust them and go cut it loose and try to remove some of the doubt or the wondering. And when he does that consistently all the time, you see what we see every day now. And more each day it gets better and better of him just playing. And when he does, he's really good.
Someone sent you the run game a little bit. Obviously, that was a bit of a struggle for you guys last year. And the second part of that question, how do you feel like this year's moving back to a fairly short mark?
Yeah. It's interesting. We had a 4th and 1 Saturday, and I think we had a 50-yard touchdown run. So I don't know. I guess I feel pretty good. No, inevitably we got to find the right plan for our personnel. We got a bunch of plays. We got a wealth of knowledge in our room, right? Coach Flood and I have been together now for quite some time. The addition of Paul Christ has been really helpful in his expertise going back to Oregon State and Wisconsin and the NFL. So I'm very confident we'll have a good plan when the season really gets there. We've been working on a lot of different things, but ultimately we have to call the things that best suit the people that we have. It's one thing for the play to look good on the whiteboard. It's another to make sure that we're putting our players in a really good position to have success. And some of that depends on who's the runner, right? What Jonathan Brooks might run well in short yardage may be different than a Sed Baxter or a Keelan or a Blue or whomever it is. And so we have to be mindful of those things as much as it is, just the play. We got to think about the players too.
Someone sent you the coaches poll last week. Did anyone send you the AP poll today?
No, sir. How'd we do?
I think 11 is the...
That's cool. Where'd you pick us?
I don't vote.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. No, I won't do that. I won't put anybody on the spot today.
What pressure has Alfred Collins considered Mitchell made inside? And in your experience at that position, how tough is it for a true freshman to make an impact?
Well, I think Alfred had a great training camp. Very, very impressive. He's for a big man, he's extremely athletic and powerful. One of the things, and you can go back to old press conferences of mine, when I reference Alfred, I used to talk about consistency, like we're talking about now, about, if he can stay consistent, he's a dominant player. And that was always been a little bit of a struggle. Well, he's found consistency now. And so he's a factor in the run game. He's a factor in the pass game. He provides great energy at practice. And so for him, been great. For Sadir, that's the transition, right, from high school to college football. And one of the things as a defensive lineman, especially when you're a big man, is how do you play hard every down? Knowing, hey, you might be in 2 plays or 3 plays, there's the rotation, there's the sub. A lot of times those guys in high school kind of have themselves on a governor because they know they're going to end up playing 40, 50, 60 plays. Sometimes they have to play both ways. That's not the case here. So when we can really get him to dive into understanding, man, give us what you got for these next 2-3 plays and then we'll roll you, he's going to become a really good player for us. I mean, he's a big man. He's athletic. I noticed him today. He made a couple nice plays in the run game.
Is Arch taking control of the number 2 quarterback job?
No, I'd say that competition's rolling along. Malik's done some great things for us too, and I love it, because I think that room in general is playing at a higher level than it was in spring, no question, and a higher level than it was a year ago at this time. So, as a coach, that's a positive. I think the continuity on offense feels good. I feel like nobody's just relying on one guy to go make a play or two guys. I mean, I saw today plays made by Keelan Robinson, by Ced Baxter, by Jonathan Brooks. JT Sanders made a couple really good plays today. Xavier made a couple really nice plays today, kind of got the thing started. AD makes a nice big touchdown catch there at the end. Jordan Winnington was making plays. All of a sudden, Jonte had a really nice play there at the end. So all of a sudden, the ball's moving around, and I think from a quarterback's perspective, that gives them puts them at ease, that they can just go where the read is telling them to go and not feel like they're hanging on one guy longer than maybe they should. And in turn, there's good rhythm out of that room right now in the way that they're playing.
Coach, after 2 last ones, how did the rest of, some of your freshmen fare out there, like, tight ends or Boothby or some of these other guys?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of them. I guess I'll start. I'm trying to rip through them all. Gooseby has been impressive. Over the last week, he has shown, he's really filled out in his time here. He's very athletic, but he's got a mean streak. He's got a toughness about him that has been impressive for a young player. So that's been great. There's moments we see Spencer do some good things, and there's moments he's out there and you're like, man, he's still young. And he had a moment today where he kind of got welcome to college football, kind of blocking on the backside. So that's part of it. I saw a play today, 2 plays today from Ryan Niblett of growth out of him. He's a really tough, aggressive kid. You can see it in him, and now it's just fine tuning that stuff. So a lot of those guys are doing a lot of really good looking things, and we just keep pushing them, and we keep trying to roll them in there, and just reminding them, hey, we're going to critique your effort first. So if you give us maximum effort, we'll fix the fundamentals, the technique, the scheme errors. But as long as they're full speed errors, we can live with that, and that group brings it. They're very competitive. That freshman class is very competitive.
One last one.
So in terms of your edge positions, how much carryover is there from guys maybe training at one when they can play the other in case somebody reps it? And across the board, would you say that's, I know there's some positions where you need a specific skill set, but how much do you and the staff try to manufacture depth at certain positions?
Well, yeah, I think cross training is important. I'll point to Anthony Hill, right? I mean, he's playing an off-the-ball linebacker, but we're also cross-training him at the edge position and utilize him in the pass rush and certain packages. You think about Chris Ross, a guy who's, playing kind of a 5 technique, but on third downs, we're bumping him out and letting him and rush the passer. So there is that cross-training, and I think that we're finding a niche of players that can do it. I think we've got a really good package going defensively. I think our defense has done a nice job of trying to create one-on-one matchups, and I think we're finding people that can win in one-on-one matchups, but also people that are good at when we run our games. And then that gets down to now with PK and Bo of how they're calling it, predicated on the guys in the game to let them do what they do well. So I mean, guys showed up. Guys can win. Anthony can win. Jeray Bledsoe can win. Chris Ross can win. They win one-on-one, not to mention a Barron Sorrell and those guys. And Alfred Collins on the inside. Byron Murphy on the inside can win one-on-one. Vernon Broughton, excellent pass rusher. So, if we can affect that pocket from the perimeter and be able to move the pocket internally, and if we keep our coverage the way that we want to play, it should become an advantage for us.
Last one, Seth.
When you have a Longhorn legend like Derek Johnson mentoring these kids, these linebackers, these kids on defense, he's been where they want to go.
Right.
How big is that for you to see a guy that's so invested in the program?
It's awesome. Today we had a little kind of break in practice, and I went over. I'm talking to Michael Huff and Derek Johnson. It's like, how cool is this? But how cool is it for our players? The fact that these guys are around every day. And what a resource for them. These guys are champions. They've done it at the highest level, not only here at Texas, but on into the NFL. And the way they carry themselves, the way they conduct themselves, the way they represent the university, the way they represent their own selves and their families, they do it and have done it the right way. And so they serve as a great model, not only on the field, but off the field of what our guys should aspire to become.